So it has occurred to me basically that the New Orleans people instigate versus mediate or de-escalate a situation. Basically, it went to court, and this is my letter, and they told me I had to go get a psychological evaluation. So I called the places, first the Metropolitan Human Services, and then they referred me to Florida, out here in Hammond, Tangipahoa Parish, and I went to them to talk to them to get the evaluation. Come to find out that they don't do psychological evaluations. And this letter is basically stating that, and that I don't fit the criteria for psychiatric evaluation, which they do provide services for. So this is a defamation of character that I'm being subjected to. And like I said, the traits of women are they blow things out of proportion, over exaggerate, jump to conclusions, and shoot. For some reason I found that they are unreasonable people. You cannot reason with unreasonable people. And they do not operate off of logic. They operate off their emotions. So I'm going to go and talk to my lawyer, find out about the Napoleonic laws here in Louisiana and how actually women obtain equal rights here in a state that never ratified women's liberation. Because I see the voters' rights and women's liberation something totally separate. Just giving them the right to vote here in Napoleonic law state, I understand that a wife does not have equality with her husband. So I'm thinking that applies to other situations as well, like being judges in Louisiana, period. So I'm going to go drop off this letter to my lawyer so he can get it to the judge to show that I'm complying. But first off, you're not educated properly to understand that they don't do psychiatric or psychological evaluations, which you put on the paperwork for me to get done. They do psychiatric, and psychiatric evaluations, I don't fit that criteria. So, never give up. I saw this little slogan about Winston Churchill. Never give in. I'm going to look that up right quick, find out what he was saying. But, if this is something that's important to me. And it's funny that this lady that I just sat down and wrote this letter up for me, she understands the problems in the court systems, how they favoritisms and the abuse that's happening. And this judge had the nerve to write something about that it's in the best interest of my child. No, you accepting lies, unsubstantiated evidence, not requiring burden of proof, and like I said, just not even reading the situation properly, because you're already feeling some kind of way because I reached out to speak to every judge in Orleans Parish in order to show them that I'm human, I'm a person, someone who really cares about their child. And this is evidence basically of how much I think about my children, documenting this for my child's sake. Dad is not separated from you by choice. This is a misuse of power. This is a problem with women who use their children as weapons, to get vindictive or whatever, just because I don't want them. I'm done, You did me wrong. I know what you're made of. You're not good. You're not on my level. Peace out.
Okay, Willie Lynch and what everyone needs to know.
Lynch said, if you want to control your Negroes in Ohio, if you want to control them Negroes in Cleveland, find every petty difference you can muster.
Cardinal principles for making a Negro.
Now we're against each other from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south. We're against each other in terms of color. We're against each other in terms of those who are educated and those who are not. We're against each other from those that have money and those that are not. And then those of us who get some status as a councilman, a senator, a mayor, we're just senators and mayors of the plantation. We are in the big house. We're the house niggas and the ones in the field that don't have no job. They the field niggas.
And use it against each other. He said, put the light skin in Cleveland against the dark. Put the college educated against the ones who dropped out. Put the Zetas against the Sigma Gamma Rhos and the Deltas against the AKAs and the Kappas against the Qs and the Sigmas against the Alphas and the Iotas against the Grooves. Put the Christians against the Muslims and the Garveyites against the Socialists and the Nawapians against the Moors and the Nation of Islam against the Hebrews. And if you do this, they'll never come together.
And so we have to break this. Say, break it. Amen.
Well, a thought did come to mind. You know, military sends you through boot camp. I'm thinking possibly blacks and America in general needs a boot camp on the Willie Lynch doctrine, divisive tactics.
They have said that the Willie Lynch letter, now you understand, so everybody should have heard about the Willie Lynch letter. If you haven't, you really been sleeping in life, because you should have heard something about that letter. Even Farrakhan read the letter during the Million Man March. So you should have heard something about this letter. You understand that the psychological effect of the Willie Lynch letter is what we're living today. In other words, we're living the letter today. So if you say the letter didn't exist, why are we living it? Why are we walking into it? If it doesn't exist, why are we going point by point? What y'all wrote, we actually doing it. The mindset exists.
In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if you installed it correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take them differences and make them bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. Take this simple little list of differences and think about it. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to approach this topic here.
Chapter 4, the breaking process of the African woman.
God is the head of man, man the head of woman, woman the head of the child. That's the natural order. Willie Lynch said, let's reverse it. Turn the woman away from depending on the man and make her depend on us. She must find no black man to trust only us. You gotta study that woman. And if you can get her like a horse when you're breaking it to eat out of your hand, then she'll make her children and break them for us. When God created her to depend on a man, and she's saying, I don't need a man for nothing.
What we do with horses is that we break them from one form of life to another. That is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature. Whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring, we break that natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get from them useful production for our business and pleasure.
You got all these independent girls and dependent men.
I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration.
And even if you bring a man in your house, which sometimes you do, he's in your house. Now that's deep, brother. So brothers and sisters, Our homes now are torn down. Willie Lynch. Because Willie Lynch, 300 years ago, planned on turning nature around so that the woman would be the man. And we would be the dependent ones standing behind her and very afraid.
You must use the female versus the male and the male versus the female. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Let's Make a Slave is a study of the scientific process of man-breaking and slave-making. It describes the rationale and results of the Anglo-Saxons' ideas and methods of ensuring the master-slave relationship. The origin and development of a social being called the Negro.
He said, I got a foolproof idea that if you do this, the Negroes will never be able to unite for 300 to 1,000 years.
Shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands.
Cleveland, you should feel embarrassed that white folk can go to sleep at night in this city after what they did to Tamir Rice.
He said, I take my slaves and I look at their differences and I multiply them. I make their differences bigger. Turn the young against the old and the old against the young. Still going on. But he said, you put your sperm in one of the black women, she produced a brownish baby. You got to reverse the natural tendency of the black woman to depend on the black man.
How can white America sleep so peacefully with 40 million disgruntled blacks amongst them? How can they slave without an iota of worry of what you might do? I'll tell you how they can sleep. Because they have sown so many petty differences in Cleveland that before you ever get around to fighting them once, you gotta fight each other 1,000 times. Brothers and sisters, it's time to put the differences to the side.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speak Up. In a moment, you're going to hear from kids who stood up to stop bullying wherever it exists. By the end of this program, we hope everyone realizes that bullying is not a rite of passage or a harmless part of growing up. It's wrong. It's destructive. And we can all prevent it. I care about this issue deeply, not just as the president, but as a dad. That's why a year ago we held the first ever White House Summit on bullying. And since then, we've partnered with schools and parents to raise awareness. But we've all got more to do. Everyone has to take action against bullying. Everyone has an obligation to make our schools and our communities safe for all our kids. And if we work together, I know we can.
And I'm pissed off. So let me tell you why I'm mad. First and foremost, I'm mad because I have so many men in my life that are amazing, beautiful, great men that are beautiful, amazing, great fathers. And they are not allowed to father their children because these bitches won't let them. Are they women? Absolutely not. They don't deserve the right to be called women. Are they girls? I don't know, because they're acting like it. But these bitches are out here prohibiting these fathers from being fathers. And this is what I believe. I read an article recently about how women have these daddy complexes. They have these daddy complexes because their father wasn't in their life. And so when their child has a relationship with the father, they're jealous because I want that. Like, you're supposed to love me like you love our child. You're supposed to love me like that. You know, what happened to me? Why don't you love me? Or why doesn't my child love me as much as he or she loves you? Jealousy. How you gonna be jealous of your own child because your child has love? Shouldn't you be ecstatic? Shouldn't you be excited that your child has a father that's unlike the dad that you had? Shouldn't you want your child to be with their father? Shouldn't you want your child to have a relationship with their dad? You should want to, but these bitches out here, they don't get the dignified word of women. These bitches out here are prohibiting the fathers from being fathers for no reason at all except for pure jealousy that they don't get the love that the child is getting from this man. Get over it. To all of my men, to all of my fathers, to all of my brothers that are listening to this, that are wondering, like, but what can I do? This is a woman's world. I live in Massachusetts, and in Massachusetts, a man has to damn near prove his baby mama to be a crackhead before he can get custody of the child. What y'all need to do, I swear to sweet baby Jesus, I am fighting for every single last one of you. I think, like, my purpose on earth is to be a man advocate or a father advocate, because I used to be that. I used to be that woman, but I was all bark and no bite. Like, yeah, you ain't never seen your daddy. You can't go see him. Mad because he came home at 10, 11 o'clock at night, like they don't have school the next day. And then the next day they're with their daddy. I can't do it to my kids. I can't watch my kids sit there and cry out for their father, and for me to say, no, you'll never see him again. I might say it, or I have said it in the past. I never followed through with it. I can't do that. I could never do that. No matter how much I wanted to, no matter how angry I was about the fact that he would bring them home late, that he wouldn't take the call when I'm trying to find out where they are. When your child is spending time with their father, it took me a long time for me to understand this, but when your child is spending time with their father, let them spend time with their father, because he ain't calling, blowing up your phone, trying to figure out what man, what nigga, what dude you got around his kids, but you trying to figure out what women around your kid. You need to figure out who is in your life that don't need to be around your child, instead of worried about the daddy. And here comes an amazing dad now, taking care of his daughter. One of the things I want to say to these men is keep a journal. Anytime that anything happens, good happens, bad happens, the baby mama drunk, the baby mama did this, baby mama did that, your daughter, your son don't want to go home, your son, your daughter said XYZ is going on at the house, you pick up your child, the hair's not done. If Halle Berry can sit here and have the court order her baby father not to do anything to that child's hair, best believe that your journal will keep track of everything and anything that's going on in your life, so you can sit there and present the proof of this deadbeat, neglectful, ASS, BITCH. Children in the car, gotta respect the babies.